it's time for the University of Oklahoma and Baylor Bears post-game show. As for the second consecutive trip, Baylor beats Oklahoma as the Bears claw past the Sooners. Number 10, Oklahoma Sooners, 12. Number 6, Baylor Bears, 41. 41-12 your final in Waco. Blake Bell led the way, however, for the Sooners. He had 150 yards in the air, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Bryce Petty, however, passing the ball was a little bit better. 204, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Running the ball, Roy Finch had 7 carries for 36 yards, but not any touchdowns on the ground for the Sooners. Shock Linwood was the ball carrier for Baylor once Seastrunk left. He finished the game with 23 carries, a $182 on the ground, and 0 touchdowns. Wide receivers leading for each side. Each team had guys with 6 catches. Jalen Saunders had the 6 catches for Oklahoma with 74 yards in the air and 0 touchdowns. Antoine Goodley was the wide receiver for Baylor, 6 catches, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The defensive stats for Oklahoma and Baylor were as follows. Dominique Alexander, the redshirt freshman from Tulsa, Oklahoma, had another big-time game. 11 total tackles, 1 forced fumble, and a sack for a safety in the end zone on Bryce Petty. Eddie Lacy had 8 tackles and an interception for Baylor. Each kicker was 50% on the night. Michael Honeycutt's 50% was 1 of 2. His one make was 22 yards, so the 22 yards was his long. 2 for 4 was Aaron Jones. His 2 makes were 29 yards and a long of 40 yards. The punting average for the Sooners and the Baylor Bears were as follows. Jed Barnett had 7 punts for the University of Oklahoma. 41.1 his average. 55 was his long. And 2 of them landed inside the 50-yard line. Or inside the 20-yard line, sorry. Spencer Roth did it 3 times for Baylor when he had to. 51.3 points an average. 58 was his long, and 1 of them landed inside the 20-yard line. The scoring summary for the game was as follows. Aaron Jones hit his first of 2 made field goals of the 4 attempts from 29 yards out with 3:09 left in the first quarter. 3-0 Baylor Bears. Then the Sooners defense got on the scoreboard. Dominique Alexander in the second quarter. Dominique Alexander pulls down Bryce Petty for a safety with 13:22 left. Baylor leading the game 3-2. A little bit later, after the safety kickoff, Michael Honeycutt kicks a 22-yard field goal, giving the Sooners the lead 5-3. Then it became the Bryce Petty show. Bryce Petty, 5-yard quarterback run with 7:02 left, making it 10-5, Baylor in favor. Bryce Petty did another 1-yard touchdown of his own with 1 minute remaining in the half. 17-5 Sooners down to Baylor. To add more insult to injury, after the first of 2 picks by Blake Bell, Bryce Petty finishes off the drive with a Antoine Goodley touchdown pass, 24 yards, 24-5, Baylor with 10 seconds left in the half. In the second half, third quarter now, Bryce Petty does it again. 17-yard touchdown pass to Levi Norwood with 8:14 left, 31-5, Baylor largely out in front. But then Blake Bell gets a 10-yard touchdown pass to Roy Finch, the double deuce, making it 31-12, Baylor with the point after attempt good. Aaron Jones then hit his second of 2 made field goals on 4 attempts. 40 yards out was this one, with a buck 17 left in the third quarter. 34-12 Baylor. Out in front in this one. And the final touchdown of the night, Bryce Petty, 25-yard touchdown pass, again to Antoine Goodley, 41-yard touchdown pass, or 25-yard touchdown pass, making the score 41-12 with 9:03 left, with Baylor out in front. That was the final score. That was your final touchdown of the game, as far as that's concerned. The injury report for Oklahoma and Baylor, not too good for Oklahoma. Baylor, of course, had Lake Seastrup. He left early with the knee, did return, and then also did Byron Barnes, the defensive tackle. He got a little nicked up, but he should be okay. As far as for the Schooner Sooners, well, they've been run over again. They went out, they came into the game with injuries, and they leave the game with even more injuries. Sterling Shepard, the wide receiver, got knocked senseless because of concussion status. Keith Ford, the running back, was knocked out with a leg injury. Aaron Colvin and Julian Wilson, our 2 defensive backs, were both knocked out with shoulder injuries. Jordan Edwards, the linebacker, was knocked out because of an ankle, and Charles Tapper, he was ejected and will not play in the first half against Iowa State for fighting. Heupel's hype of the game was the 10-yard touchdown pass from Blake Bell to Roy Finch, cutting the lead 31-12. Baylor still out in front, however. Stoopsy's stop of the night was Dominique Alexander getting the team on the scoreboard with a safety, making it 3-2. That happened with 13:22 left in the second quarter. 3 main goals for this team offensively. Don't make mistakes. Well, that didn't happen. They had 2 picks, and they were stopped on 4th and short, and they had very few third down completion ratings. Not good for the offense of not good if you don't want to make mistakes. Defensively, they kept things in front. They didn't let a lot of plays deep. 204, just about right away there. Very, very low besides by the Bryce Petty show. And they also scored on defense. They didn't get a turnover, but they did get a safety. They held them below their scoring average with injuries. And by the way, their offense of Oklahoma was completely inept. If they were able to do anything offensively, it probably not only would have not been 41-12, but it probably could have been a little bit closer as far as the scoreboard is concerned. Special teams, Michael Honeycutt, he missed the field goal, but he still had a pretty solid night. Nick Hodgson with his kickoffs, he's been solid all year long, but this time, with the few times that he had to, by the way, because they only did score 12 points, but he did not get a kickoff in the end zone. They did send Michael Honeycutt in to replace him. Still didn't get it blocked in the end zone. And punting, Jed Barnett, good punts all night long for this guy, which, that's 386 yards. And like I said, not all of that is due to a lot of that is due to the longer fields or short fields of Oklahoma because of their offense ineptability. They were completely not themselves offensively in this game. But Jed Barnett did a great job in handling the Baylor pressure and putting them in long situations, and the defense was just on the field for too long. Next up for the Sooners, it's senior night. Iowa State will be in Norman at 11 a.m. on Saturday, so be sure to be there. There are tickets available. 1-800-456-GO-OU or go to Soonersports.com, do the clicking, and get some sticking. There's one game left, folks. Only 2 games out. I know the season seems to be over, and it is. But remember, this team, they've been known to get some upsets for you. And Iowa State, they've only won 1 game. They've been known to pull the upset, though. Just remember, this has been a breakdown of Oklahoma-Baylor for one final time, for the 2nd consecutive time in Waco, and only the 2nd time in Oklahoma history the Sooners lose to the Baylor Bears. This time, 41-12 in Waco. Thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, Boomer Sooner.